Recording. All right. Welcome, everybody. As you may already know, you are currently muted on this webinar as you enter. Please feel free to ask questions via chat and/or preferably wait for the end. We will answer any and all questions at the end. Sometimes we also come up with questions after the webinar is ended. Feel free to email us, spencer@spenceraiken.com, and I'll type that into the chat right now. This is my personal email. So if you do have a question, just use the subject line as answering why webinar, and I know directly that it is important, so I'll answer it right away. All right. So what are we doing here today? Today, we're going to help you, more specifically, help your students learn to, first and foremost, think for themselves, because as educators, we're not going to be with them forever. We want them to be able to essentially stand on their own 2 feet, think for themselves, and be able to process with reason and thought how to create a fitness journey for themselves. And what do I mean by a fitness journey? Life is about developing skills. How we develop the skills, but more importantly, how we prepare to develop the skills is very important for a healthy, safe fitness journey. Developing skills is balance, stability, strength, cardiovascular conditioning, mental awareness. All of those are skills that can be practiced and improved, and we need to do just that. As educators, our job is to pass on our knowledge so that our students can think for themselves in the manner of how that works. Okay? So, what we're talking about today is answering the questions of why. All right, got to do this real quick. Not sure why my thing turned off. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, so answering why. We are answering the question of how are we helping our students prepare skill development, and with an emphasis towards fitness development, meaning workouts and programs. Everything that we're talking about today can actually be created and or thoughtfully thought of for multiple skill development, such as throwing, shooting basketball. How do we want to prepare those skills? Okay. Also, you could also think about it in terms of a running program. If you're really, truly trying to improve at something, you don't just go and run. You actually have some preparation for Monday's workout, Tuesday's workout, Wednesday may be a rest day, Thursday, since it was a rest day the day before, you're going to do a long day on Thursday. All of those have to be answered. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Okay. So with all the options available, as far as everything we're about to go through, we want to help our students process answering why are we choosing what we're choosing for this particular day, for this program, and for future reference, why are we doing what we're doing? All right. Exercises. It is easy to just randomly say, I'm going to go to the gym and work out. All right. But what are you really trying to achieve? Why are you going to the gym? What are your goals? Why am I choosing to do squats today? Well, maybe it's because yesterday wasn't a leg day. Why am I choosing to do squats over deadlifts? Maybe I want to emphasize my quads and not necessarily my hamstrings. Why are we choosing to do cardiovascular conditioning first versus weight training? Maybe I'm more motivated to do weight training, and therefore a lot of people, when they're more motivated to do weight training, will actually do the cardio first, knowing that, hey, now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to go and do this. It's kind of the eat the frog mentality of do the thing that is least popular among yourselves and get the hardest part of the things out of the way first. All right. So movement patterns. Are we doing bilateral, meaning both sides, or two sides technically? Are we doing isolateral or one-sided? Sometimes it's easier to do a dumbbell press one arm at a time, or a dumbbell curl one arm at a time, and we can focus because maybe we're not or ready for, we haven't developed the skill of stabilization, and we get a little wonky with it. So we can simply focus on doing one side. And instead of alternating, we can do all one side at a time, which allows us to focus more. We do this a lot with lunges. When strength training or getting stronger is the goal for lunges, it's easier to do all one side versus alternating back and forth, because that requires a slight change in your balance, which makes it a little bit more difficult to go left to right, left to right, left to right. If you did all one side, your mind will figure out that movement pattern a little easier, meaning it'll be easier to maintain your balance. Therefore, a little bit slightly different, not huge difference, but this is what we're talking about, answering why. Small differences make big changes, okay? So that small difference in stability and balance will help you become a little bit more stronger. Not necessarily good grammar right there, but you know what I mean. All right, reps. Scientifically speaking, we understand what our rep ranges are. 1 to 5 is more for building power. 6 to 10 is more for building strength. 8 to 12 is more for building hypertrophy, AKA muscle size. Anything above that is more for muscular anaerobic conditioning of the muscle. So what are your goals? If your goals are to become more powerful, obviously you want to go lower on the rep range. I'm more into toning or conditioning my muscles. You want to go higher. So answering the question of why for your rep range goal is very important. Pre-workout. You wouldn't just go into the workout and say, hey, I'm going to do this. Okay. Your weight is actually dependent on the amount of reps you're trying to achieve. So a lot of times people will ask, how much weight am I going to do? Well, that's dependent. Your weight is directly related to your rep goals. Okay. So you choose your reps first and then choose a weight that you think is appropriate for those reps. All right. You may be right. You may be wrong. You may be a little bit off, and you may be able to do a little bit more or possibly get a little bit less than you were expecting. But at least you were within that rep range the majority of the time. Remember, 80-20 rule generally applies very well for fitness, meaning 80% of the time do exactly what you're hoping for, 20% play around with some fun. All right, sets. Not as important as reps as far as changing goes, but we generally want to help our body to establish a movement pattern or a repetition pattern, and we get a little bit more better. We get smoother with that the more reps we do or the more sets we do. So if I were to do 1, I'd be good. My movement pattern would smooth out because my brain has figured out the relax here, tighten up here, stabilize here, allow this to breathe better here. Those tendencies of the body become smoother as we practice. More sets allows more practice. All right. Your rest is directly related to your goals. Sometimes we have conditioning issues and we need to rest more than we really need to. But as our body becomes more finely tuned, the longer we rest is more predicated towards being more powerful, right? So if we're resting 2 minutes plus, we're probably, or we should be doing very high weight, very low reps, very powerful movements. Something like 5 sets of 3 reps of squats could require 3 to 5 minutes of rest in between each set, because our body needs that time to replenish our energy sources, right? The 3 energy sources, ATP, PC, the glucose glycolysis system, and the anaerobic system. Remember, the anaerobic system replenishes very quickly. The ATP, PC system takes up to potentially 2 minutes, all the way possibly up to 10 minutes to finally be ready mentally. All right. Our form. Okay, now don't hold this as a hard and fast has to be rule, but sometimes we're allowed to use momentum. Why? Athletes use momentum to learn how to generate more force and control that force. Bodybuilders on the other end of the spectrum have or want very strict form. Okay, so based around what you're trying to achieve, your form can have some variations of using momentum to create a more powerful, more athletically appropriate movement. All right. Exercise order is next. Okay. Remember, these are not necessarily all in order, they're just bullet pointed. Exercise order is what order is your workout coming in? You wouldn't necessarily want to choose leg press before squats because the exercise order determines that the more complex exercises should be done in the beginning of your workout. All right. So squats and deadlifts are a little bit more complex owing to the fact that you're standing, you have more stability requirements, you have more energy requirements, you have more mental focus requirements. And because of that, we want to choose appropriately what our exercise order should be. Our movement tempo. Okay, this is a variable that we can actually play with a lot in between from one set to the next. Slow, maybe on your first set, second set, as you're kind of figuring out the form. Third and fourth set, possibly. You're going to speed it up, which is going to change the adaptations. Okay, athletes need to learn to move quicker. Okay, sports are played at full speed the majority of the time. Okay, so you want to teach the body to move fast. So you want to train fast, not sloppy and out of control, but quickly. All right. All right. Then you have equipment options. Should I do barbell squats, goblet kettlebell squats, or goblet dumbbell squats, or dumbbells holding them here squats, or by my side squats? All of those slightly change what the exercise is. They're all forms of a squat, but your exercise or your equipment options determine the exercise. All right. What are you doing for your warm-up? Are you just going and running on the treadmill for 10 minutes and then start your exercise? Are you doing some static stretching? Are you doing some dynamic stretching? Are you doing some mobility work? All of those are great options for you to actually appropriately choose what to do for your workouts. All right. Remember, we're warming up our mind. We're warming up our heart. We're warming up our lungs. We're warming up our muscles, and we're warming up our joints. All of those need appropriate time, appropriate movements, and appropriate intensity to be ready to go. Okay. Sometimes we spend not enough time warming up, and then we have to spend a few sets actually allowing the body to become more warm. So if you just run on the treadmill, you're not ready to do full range of motion depth on your squats because you haven't loosened up your knees, your ankles, and your hips just yet. Okay. As far as up and down range of motion goes. All right. Cool down. Is your cool down just say deuces and goodbye to everybody, or you're actually doing static stretches, maybe some foam rolling, maybe some easy P&F stretching? Appropriately choosing and answering why you're doing what you're doing is appropriate. Okay. Are you doing stretches for your upper body, but you did a lower body workout? Okay. All right. And your recovery. Rest and recovery kind of are synonymous, but this we mean more how many days in between are you allowing your body to become rested and recovered before you do another workout? Let's say Monday I do a leg workout. Are we going to do another leg workout on Tuesday? Probably not. As we're younger, we could probably do another workout on Wednesday, but you'll notice our recovery slows down as we get older. So we probably need that second, third day. Okay. So on Monday, when you're 18, maybe Wednesday is leg day when you're 18. Maybe Thursday becomes your leg day when you're 50. Okay. Allowing for recovery and or using recovery techniques such as massage, off day stretching, increasing your blood flow through trigger point and or foam rolling, maybe even ice baths. All of those are important structures to understand to help with your recovery. All right. And then substrate skill development. Not everything is just get to the gym and work out. We need to improve our focus. We need to improve our hand-eye coordination. We need to improve our balance through balance drills and stability through stabilizing drills. All right. We need to improve our movements, lateral movements, forward, backward movements, catching skills, targeting skills. All of those skills are lifelong skills that everyone needs because we all reach forward for stuff and grab it. We all need to be able to focus on tasks at hand. Driving is a very good focusing on the task at hand while peripherally seeing something. All right. We must answer the question, why? Why are we doing what we're doing? We cannot just say, here's what we're doing. Because is not a reason, is not an answer. Why are we doing that? And we have to understand what our goals are. All right. Why are we choosing what we choose for each session? All right. Sometimes it comes from an understanding of the science and the research behind exercise adaptation, skill development, and progression. We have done a lot of research. There's still more research to be done, but we have done a ton of research on rep ranges, sets, and how to develop skills, such as when learning a skill for the first time, teach the entirety of the skill. Like when we're doing a clean and a jerk, you do the entirety of the exercise and then break down form fixes as you need to. Don't teach one move, then the next move. You don't stack the movements. You teach it in its entirety and then regress as necessary. The body works better when you do learning as a whole. We wouldn't teach throwing skills as a step forward, plant, throw, pull arm behind, raise arm up, rotate forward. We don't do it like that. We do it like this, hoping for the best. Okay. All right. However, some of it comes down to minimal differences. 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. Meaning there are small changes in what we're really truly trying to achieve. And that comes from practice, experience, and your own desires. There is some of that involved in fitness training in forms of skill development training. All right. So case in point, are you going to choose a tennis ball as a ball for skill development for throwing? Maybe you don't like throwing with the tennis ball because it's a little bit too light. Maybe you prefer using different balls for doing bouncing drills. All of those become small differences that if you help your students to think, answered why becomes, well, this is why we're doing it that way. All right. We design our sessions to best apply to our goals and abilities. Now, remember, we as educators create programs for our students in class, but we're trying to provide them with the necessary tools to take it beyond just our PE class and use for the duration. Yes, sometimes we have students who are educated enough and or progressed enough to do it on their own, and we allow them that ability. But we want to give them the tools to apply what we're teaching them so that they can be safe and healthy and become more and more fit throughout life. All right. So remember, we answer why. Why do we choose the substrate skills for developing throwing, catching, balance, and stability? All right. As we're older, we don't necessarily work on throwing skills that much. More elementary school PE is more about throwing and catching, target acquisition. Middle school, we start to progress a little bit away from that and do more movement-based stuff, more advanced stuff. But that doesn't mean we can't do the beginner or the basics of just easy dribbles, maybe with tennis balls, easy juggling drills. Why? Because our students may not necessarily have grown up playing sports, may not have had that in their elementary school PE. So we can choose those because when we see our students and we're like, this would be appropriate, we answer that question, why? My students need better balance, okay? You can do balance and stability drills by simply taking one leg, stand on one leg, maybe close one eye, right? because remember, our visual, using our eyes, is our #1 way to gather information. And simply taking away one eye makes everything balance-wise and stability-wise more difficult. Now, answering the question why am I doing this when I'm standing on 2 feet? Probably not that difficult when I'm purely balanced on 2 feet. If I were to do such an exercise such as pickups or a one-legged Romanian deadlift, and I closed one eye, very challenging. Now, is everyone ready for that? No. So it could be the progression that you offer. So you may start off with, all right, everyone, we're doing one-legged RDLs now. And then as you see they're ready for it, or some of your students are ready for it, you offer that progression. All right, now if you're ready, close one eye and let's see if this is a challenge for you. All right. So answering why. Why did you choose that drill? We cannot just say, hey, we're going to go out and do this. We have to have some forethought into doing the specific drills of what we're doing. We don't just walk up right the minute before class and say, hey, we're going to do squats. Okay. They may have done 2,000 squats the day before. Okay. There are a lot of fitness instructors in the world who don't think of anything else and just say, hey, we're going to do burpees. That wasn't a question of answering why. That was just, I couldn't think of anything else to do. And we're trying to prevent our students from learning those bad habits. All right. So why did we do that dynamic warm-up? What we have is we have a full body warm-up dynamic. We have a a lower body dynamic warm-up. We have an upper body dynamic warm-up. Now, what are we doing for the day? If we're doing a lower body day, we do our lower body dynamic warm-up, right? If it's more of a full body, we have our full body. So understanding why we're doing things helps us to appropriately create the program for the day. All right. I talked about earlier, why are you choosing those exercises? Are you a squat person? Are you a deadlift person? It seems that people fall into 2 camps. Well, guess what? The joint movements of a squat and a deadlift are the exact same. It's hip extension and knee extension. Little side note, every exercise or every lower body exercise of significance is hip extension and knee extension. Okay, when we're talking about the concentric phase of raising up out of the bottom of our squat or deadlift, we're doing hip extension and knee extension. So jumping, hip extension, knee extension. Cleans, hip extension, knee extension. Kettlebell swings, hip extension, knee extension. Snatches, hip extension, knee extension. Okay, squats, lunges, deadlifts, hip extension, knee extension. All right, so what's the difference? Squats are more, not solely quad dominant, meaning they get a little bit more emphasis on our quads. Deadlifts get a little bit more emphasis on our hamstrings and glutes. All right, that means if you're really truly trying to improve those, I'm trying to improve my quads, I might want a little bit more quad development. If you say I'm trying to develop a little bit more hamstring because my hamstrings are lacking, that would be your deadlift preference. And then it could also come down to, I feel better. I feel better doing those can be the answer to why. Absolutely. People, you don't have to do stuff you hate. There are so many options out there. If you don't enjoy it, you don't have to do it. Okay. All right. So why are you doing that many sets? We already talked about this. Why are you doing that many reps? The answer is because of the science, because of my goals. All right. Are you doing fast or slow movement tempo? I want to be more athletic or I want to be more aesthetic. All right. Why are you choosing that number of exercises? Sometimes that just comes down to time. The body can really, truly focus for about 50 minutes. Our classes can be anywhere from 30 minutes to 90 minutes. And so we might have to slow down the pace to allow for that amount of time to expire, meaning I have an 80-minute class. And if I just do a bunch of quick exercises and they're sitting around for 45 minutes, not necessarily appropriate. All right. We don't necessarily need to train every day. If you're more strength training, like I want to be strong or powerful, you actually train less days a week, maybe as few as 3 days a week. A true power lifter, may only do squats on Monday, deadlifts on Wednesday, and bench on Friday. And that's very appropriate for their goals. Not necessarily saying your students are ready to train for powerlifting, but that may be their thing. More power to them if that is. All right. So why are you choosing that exercise? Kind of covered that already. Depending on your goals, there are appropriate things. Maybe you're choosing leg press over squats today because you're not quite comfortable doing squats. Your form is a little bit lacking. Now, there comes back to a regression of having to say, sometimes you have to step back and just work on it until you've mastered it. But sometimes you want to get an appropriate workout, so you'll just do leg press to get your quads stronger and or hamstrings stronger, or maybe your knees are bothering you a little bit. Okay, that's more for us, like people my age. All right. So why are you choosing that exercise order? Why are you doing squats before deadlifts? Why are you doing squats before Romanian deadlifts? Well, a little bit more complex. Remember, everything is based on whether it's more complex or less complex. If it's a compound exercise versus an isolation exercise, we probably don't want to be doing our leg extensions and our leg curls before squats. Less complex, less focus, and less stabilization required. All right. Why are you doing that amount of cardio? It used to be that, oh, you got to do at least 20 minutes before you get into the fat burning zone. A little bit disproven, but we still have that number kind of out there in that we do want you to do some cardio. Okay. What type of cardio? How long is your heart rate elevated? Are you doing the HIIT style cardio where you do 1 minute of really fast, 1 minute of really slow? Are you doing long, slow, steady state? More for your cardiovascular fitness in terms of your heart and your blood, more for slower burning kind of thing. All right, the time of day to work out. Sometimes we actually have choices for this. Some days it's just, this is what time your class is. As we get older, sometimes we may have a work schedule that allows for us to choose, but you do want to appropriately choose where you feel you're freshest and you're most awake and or productive. So some people are early morning people and they choose to work out at that time. It works best for them. Some people, there's no way you would ever get them to work out at 6 a.m. You tell your students, you find the time that is best for your desires, and then tell them there's no difference in between whether you work out in the morning, middle of the day, or in the afternoon, or even after work or at night. You can work out at 10 o'clock p.m. as long as you're feeling good and you get in your workouts. All right. That many workouts in a day. You can technically do as many workouts in a day as you want, as long as your body's allowing itself to recover. Helps being a little bit younger, but sometimes we have athletes who may break down their workouts into skill development in the morning or speed and conditioning development in the morning, followed by a strength training session in the afternoon, and then maybe just working on very specific skills in the evening. And that's 3 workouts in a day. As long as your body is allowed to do what it is, you're good to go. All right. So then we have that amount of rest or recovery days per week. Yes, it does help to be a little bit younger in this subject, but how much rest are you taking in between exercises? How much rest are you taking in between workouts? And how many rests are you taking in between days? All right. You may do something on Monday and your body says, hey, I need to take off until Thursday. Answering why you're doing things helps to understand your body better and will help you to become more fit and or an overall better fit person. All right. So these questions must be answered with reason and thought. A poorly written program haphazardly and randomly chooses skills, drills, exercises, sets, reps, and rests with little to no thought on how this will create the desired adaptation. All right, what do we mean? If you're just picking randomly from a hat, if I threw in 10 exercises on a piece of paper into a hat and I just pulled one, you may get tired during the workout, but in 6 months, is that going to get you the progression that you're hoping for? Maybe, maybe not, but not intelligently done. There was no thought process into doing that. Exercise 1 is squats. Exercise 2 is curls. Exercise 3 is deadlifts. We want to have some reason and some thought applied across the board for everything that we're putting into our program. A well-written program takes into account multiple factors to best achieve adaptation through skill development. Remember, we're working on skills of hand-eye coordination, balance, stability, movement. You can consider strength a skill. You can consider conditioning a skill. And we're trying to get those working together and coming together in an ideal fashion for the betterment of our students for right now and for later on in life throughout their lives. All right. So we have exercise selection, appropriate exercise selection, sets, reps, rest, recovery, etc. A well-written program considers the client's individual skill and ability factors. Yes, you should be able to have 30 different kids with 30 different skill sets, and when created appropriately, each one can have a small difference in appropriate level of skill set, because some kids may be very strong, some kids may not be as strong, some may have better balance, some may have better hand-eye coordination, but everyone deserves the opportunity to maximize their abilities. All right. So factors such as goals, training age, training history, gender, all appropriate for, hey, we're doing this based off of these things. Everyone's going to get the opportunity to achieve something. All right. The individual gets to decide what that goal is. The program is then created individually for the overall approach of their wellness and health. All right. So then you have in-season, off-season, and preseason. If you're in a sport, you have to consider whether or not basketball season is right now, and or maybe they just finished with football season. So I wouldn't necessarily want to give them a super intense, heavy leg day the next day after their season ends. Why? They're just not ready for it. Okay. All right. The time of the year, their body size, their diet. Diet is appropriate because if you're not getting enough fuel, you're not necessarily going to be able to build muscle, okay? The type of workout you're choosing, we've gone over that a few times. The time of day we've already covered. Where will they work out, okay? You can go to multiple places. You can go work out on the beach. You can go work out in the park. You can work out in the mountains. If you're working out in the mountains, you got to understand there's that thing about elevated conditioning that is a little bit more brutal because we don't have the oxygen available. That's why boxers go train at elevation right before their fight. All right. How often will they work out? What was yesterday's workout and what's tomorrow's workout so that we can make today's workout appropriate for what is already sore and what will be affected tomorrow. All right. So, all right, this was our Answering Why presentation. It is the first part in a series that we call our Mentorship Academy, which is our 10 musts, or 10 things your students must learn for a lifetime of fitness. All right. If you are interested, we will be starting next week on Monday at 12:30 Eastern time, offering 30-minute lessons 1 through 10 on the following. We already did Answering Why. And some of you are already more prepared to help your students by just simply understanding this question. All right. There are 2 workout styles, which you've already covered in this section. Aesthetic versus athletic. Are you hoping to look a little bit better, or are you hoping to perform better? And although there is overlapping, you are generally in one or the other. All right. There are 3 planes of movements you must consider for your workouts: sagittal, frontal, and transverse. And we help you to understand those more. I've known personal trainers, performance coaches, and coaches who have zero frame of knowledge of what sagittal means. We help you to understand that. It is a difficult subject, but we break it down very easy so that you can go, oh yeah, finally, light bulb moment. All right. There are 4 fitness components that you have to understand. Real quick, it's movement, cardio, aka conditioning, nutrition, and recovery. There are 5 goal types you have to think about when creating your programs. Okay, there's bodybuilder, sport performance, fitness. Okay, there is sports performance. I think I already mentioned that. And there's weight loss, and there is wellness. Those are your 5: weight loss, wellness, sports performance, fitness, and now I forgot the other one again. I do it all the time. All right. So there are 6 systems of adaptations. Oh yeah, go back a little bit. The 5 goal types, all of those determine how you're going to determine your programs. Weight loss should not necessarily be doing bicep curls, while sports performance does not necessarily need, oh yeah, I forgot bodybuilding, does not necessarily need to focus on weight loss. Okay. All right, so 6 systems of adaptations. When we're working out, we generally have 6 things that are going to change. Skeletal system, our bones become denser and or stronger, and our muscles become more fit, more stronger. Okay, so we have 6 systems that undergo changes like that. You have 8 variables of intensity. We've covered some of them already. Weight is 1, reps is 1, sets, movement tempo. Those are all variables in intensity that we can change from workout to workout. And understanding the appropriateness of those will allow us to manipulate 1, 2, or 3 from workout to workout to make the workouts appropriate for everybody. All right. There's essentially 9 pieces of equipment that we use. Some of them are lumped together. For example, barbells, okay, benches. There are flat benches. There are incline benches. There's L-sit benches. Those are benches. There are platforms. Boxes are considered platforms. All right. And then there is the 10 fitness commandments, 10 rules that we should follow to be a courteous, safe, friendly, inviting, and good workout person to share a weight room with or gym. All right. And those are the 10 fitness commandments, all right, that we should follow through life. This is the 10 things your students must learn for a lifetime of fitness. We're currently offering this course for, if you use code AZHPE, you'll get 50% off of the entry fee, all right, which is already an amazing price. This is available through our Thinkific online program. And if you click on the 10 things your students must learn, you'll be welcome to join us starting December 19th, all right, at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, which will be 10:30 here in Arizona and 9:30 in California or Pacific time. All right, that is all we have for today. So I'm going to open it up to see if there are any questions. I'm going to go to the chat right now. If you guys have anything, just let me know. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending. If you do have any questions, you can email me, spencer@spenceraiken.com. I will be sending out this recording to everyone who signed up so that whether or not you got to attend for the part of it, the full of it, or you missed it and or just forgot about it, you will still have it available. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for letting me do what it is I love to do. Look forward to seeing you on Monday, 12:30 p.m. Be sure to sign up before then.